Well, is this on? Hello, everyone. This is a bit of a improvised panel. So let me welcome the rock stars. Migle from Women in Web3 Privacy Now. And me and her are going to be moderating, asking all the questions, and grilling these lawyers over here. So welcome Eugenio on stage. Please, can we have a bit of applause for everyone? Go ahead. And then we have Marina. And then we have Jose. Go on. So how's everyone doing? Is everyone alive? Raise your hand if you're still alive. Okay, pretty good count. For the ones that are not, I'm so sorry. So today we're going to be talking about regulation and all of the boring subjects that you probably don't know much about. I'm just assuming. And we're going to be a bit, how do you call it when you dumb it down to explain to someone? So we're going to be the parents that will explain annoying concepts to you. So whenever you have a question, no matter how dumb it is, I will most likely ask it. But if I haven't, please raise up your hand, jump in. We only have 20 minutes, so we got to
Yeah, but when we say dumb, the most popular Albert Einstein quote is also, if you can't explain a concept to a 5-year-old, do you really even understand the concept yourself? So that's the idea that we're trying to do here today as well. We're trying to understand policy, which is incredibly complex, and let's see if we can understand how us as consumers, as users, as institutions can contribute to the privacy and security of the GDPR and the projects that you are all working on and researching. Jose, would you like to introduce the project that you're currently working and what you're doing at the European Commission?
Okay, with pleasure. So my name is Jose, I'm working in the European Commission. Maybe you know more or less the triangle that we have in the Commission. It's already in Europe, in the European institutions, the European Commission, the Parliament and the Council. I'm working for the European Commission. I'm working in DIGIT, the Directorate General of Digital Services. And I'm the team leader of EthCC, the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure. So it's a public permissioned network. Permissioned is managed by the member state, so the countries. They'll decide which are the nodes that are part of this network. We are currently working in a set of use cases, mainly for the verification of verified credential, for information about natural person, legal person, products, and in the last months we are exploring a new set of use cases based on tokenization. So we are public good, providing services for the public bodies.
I have 2 dumb questions. What does European Commission do?
So in this project, I'm working in Digit, so we are IT, we are managing this network, so what we do, we are providing what we call the EthCC node, which is the node that we are deploying in the facilities of the member state, and what is more important, we are encouraging the European Commission and our colleagues, the policy makers, to understand what is blockchain, how blockchain can help them to implement the regulations, and to promote use cases based on blockchain.
So you're building a product. What does that product do? What would be a use case, for example?
Okay, so we can mention today that we are exploring 2 families of use cases. One is for the verification of verified credential. So we have deployed a complete set of specifications we call the verified credential framework that we are dealing the life cycle of verified credential, including the digital verification of these VCs on chain, and also a set of use cases based on traceability and track and trace.
Now, in human language, give me a use case.
Okay. So, for example, you can verify your digital diploma issued by your university with the information that is stored in the blockchain.
Does it involve ZKs?
Not yet, because in this moment we are not storing personal data on chain. We are only storing information needed for the digital verification of the VC. So we are mentioning here public keys and also the complete trust chain to verify, for example, the information from the university. Usually, for example, in public use cases, we have the Ministry of Education, that is the root of the trust, and then the Ministry of Education is accrediting a regional body, and the regional body a university. So we are storing all the trust chain on chain.
That's amazing. You're bringing actually, legal stuff on chain, which is really exciting. But also, what is the biggest pushback that you've gotten so far? And also, after your input, I feel like Marina and Eugenio have quite a bit to, elaborate on the pushback. So what's, in your experience, has been the biggest struggle to introduce this concept and push it within the Commission and European Union?
Okay, so at the beginning we had the discussion of storing personal data on-chain or not. We are representing entities in our framework using DIDs, using decentralized identifier. So they are meaningless identifier that can be connected with public keys. So in that sense, you can demonstrate that you are the owner of a self-sovereign identity. Okay? At the beginning, we are storing this information. We thought to store this information on-chain for natural person and for legal person, but after an assessment.
So you didn't? Why? Because of privacy concerns?
Yes, that's it. So we did, our data protection officer did an assessment, and we concluded that we couldn't store these identifiers that can be linked with natural person on chain.
And that's where ZKs would come in?
That's it. So
excellent.
Yeah, luckily we took the decision 4 years ago because ZK's technology wasn't so mature like it's today, but obviously this is our roadmap to include ZK as part of our technology stack.
I would have loved to be a fly on a wall in the meeting at the European Union Commission when they sat down and decided that they need this product and why and how that came to those conclusions. But I want to speak to Marina because she's a rock star doing an incredibly difficult job. Please introduce yourself and say what are you currently working on.
Thank you. So my name is Marina and I'm a co-founder and leading the European Crypto Initiative, which is a policy organization. We do advocacy in Brussels and we talk to all the institutions that Jose mentioned. What and why we exist is because in one way we want to enable certain technologies, mostly blockchain, ZK, etc., to be used specifically by the Commission that is already working on it, that is basically creating almost products. But on the other side, we want to prevent the limitation of the innovation. So the other parts of the Commission are mostly responsible for, let's say, something that you heard about MiCA, anti-money laundering, etc. And within those regulations and directives, there might be certain parts that might limit us from using or innovating the way we have innovated in the past. And what is important for the whole community is that those organizations, like policy organizations, exist because they monitor what's happening. We see if there's like any danger of this limitation of the innovation, and then we react by having meetings, writing position papers, suggesting other alternatives. And our organization, Eugenius organization, there are a few others in the EU, but I really here at this moment need to stress the importance of doing policy work in Europe because it's very much underfunded, especially compared to the to the US. But if we want to be present on the European Union market, we have to do that because leaving Europe, it's not a solution. If you're interested in the market, you have to work here and you have to be involved in the whole policy and regulatory process as well.
And I just want to add here that Marina has all the power and the knowledge and the skill set to do any type of job and be amazing Web3 lawyer and make a lot of money, but yet she chooses herself to self-fund and fundraise for the initiatives that she do to be the bridge between the consumer and try to explain to us why this is so important and between the European Commission. And I would also like to mention the course that you did also in collaboration with us in Web3PrivacyNow. If you want to know more about it, it's in a very non-patronizing way explaining GDPR and blockchain and what you can do. So you can find that on our academy on the website. Eugenio, would you like to introduce what you're researching on?
Well, thank you. I need to well, hi everyone. My name is Eugenio Reggianini and I work with Marina and with other associations to, let's say, get the European institution familiarizing with Web3 technology. That's in one sentence. So
love that.
We try at least.
And this is a great example, right? Also the contrast between the different people and why we need to continuously talk to each other and translate. It's why we have DevRels, and I think in policy it's also important to, we all have different languages and different ways that we are expressing. So yeah. I love that you are capable of saying what you do in one sentence. That's awesome.
Thank you. Let's say we have maybe a slightly different approach. We have a small group of researchers and we try to act more as a think tank. So we write by our initiatives and with the support of the members that support us. specific papers on topics that can help to progress technological discussion about the integration of these technologies for institutions, enterprise, and consumers. So recently, we have been working a lot on GDPR specifically in trying to create a piece of content that could have been used for educational purpose, but also as engagement purpose from the community to establish a way to describe how designs interactions can happen in public permissionless networks, trying to comply with some principles that regulation requires from data controllers and data processor, and to respect at the end users, which is what we all want to provide protection to.
That's awesome. Jose, I have a question for you. When you started working on the project, from the very beginning, can you take me through the ideas and regulations that you kept in mind and how privacy and security came when you started building it?
So mentioning privacy, we had to mention GDPR. When we started this project, we had the GDPR in mind, and we had this data protection assessment that I mentioned before. And we decided not to include personal data in the registration of information in the on-chain. We are also following EIDAS, which is the European Regulation for Digital Identity and Trust Services. In that sense, we are, for example, we are including in our framework the possibility of signing or sealing, electronically signing or electronically sealing verifiable credential using qualified certificate. So in that way, we can link the signer or a verifiable credential with the signature. So in that way, the information that is verified on-chain has the highest legal certainty to present as a public document, for example, for a legal procedure. Talking about security requirements, we are also following the inclusion, and I'm personally also involved in the definition of the electronic ledgers, the umbrella term for the blockchain, as a new trust service in the EIDAS regulation. So the EIDAS regulation has included 2 new trust services in the amendment of the regulation, and following the security requirements, the blockchain, the information stored in the blockchain will have also the highest legal certainty to be not only to be not to be discarded in a legal procedure, also to be accepted as in a mandatory way in a legal procedure.
Dumb question time. What's GDPR?
Anybody doesn't know about GDPR? It's the European Data Protection Regulation.
Okay. And how does it work? So there's a couple of terms that are being thrown around, regulations, panels, and things. So there's GDPR, there's MiCA. What else is out there?
So for us in the context of EthCC, our main regulation is EIDAS and GDPR. We are mentioning GDPR because of the right to erase your personal information.
Yeah.
So this was the main topic of our assessment.
Okay, I see.
Well,
Marina, go ahead, jump in.
Generally, when we try to analyze a system, a digital system from this type of regulation perspective, we need to understand there are different, let's say, subjects into the categories which treat the data in a different way. So data is something that belongs to us and it's something digitally native for the service that we are applying to. And so we interact with a service that for a specific purpose collect the data from ourselves, originating the sources of the data sources from us. Sorry. And this subject, which is usually besides into an application environment, which is accessible by mobile or by simple laptop, use this data for a specific purpose and has, let's say, a higher set of regulatory requirements to satisfy, to make sure that the user is protected by the use that this provider can do of the data that the user given to. Okay. Then the other subject big subject in this regulation is the data processor. So the subject which actually may receive data from the data controller and simply process it, transfer it for an infrastructure purpose, let's say. So I think that in this context, how these apply to blockchain services? Well, first of all, there would be a big governance discussion because it applies differently whether the network is built in a permissioned or in a permissionless way. So, of course, the way in which the participants access to the network determine different regulatory requirements. Because in one scenario, you have specific providers which may also be associated as a controller, gatekeeping the access to the network. In another scenario, you may not have this. So you need to identify with some certain limit how the data is processed by the different subject which may receive data from the application and for what, from what purpose. In addition to that, and thanks God for the cryptography, let's say, into this context, we have different features that help us to treat the data in a way that is, let's say, by the time, by process, less, let's say, sensitive and less likely re-identifiable, because this is something which determines the nature of personal data. So the personal data is considered real personal data, even treated with cryptographic features, but it becomes anonymized only when it's impossible to re-identify the user in case of cryptographic algorithm is broken. So we see the trend in evolving blockchain networks from monolithic to modular, which are requiring more, let's say, engineerization, more features for optimizing throughput, for providing better UX, for different kind of purpose, also treating the data with different cryptographic techniques. And this helps anyway to offer a more, I will conclude here because my statement is quite long, GDPR compliant process flow. Okay.
Okay, so I got the message that we have 2 minutes, I think. The last 2 minutes, the message is just from my side, and then
yes,
you can.
Please.
There's more than just crypto assets regulation in the world, especially in Europe. We have a lot of regulation on data. There were brilliant people in the Commission that are trying to do their best to use as privacy-preserving, systems as possible. But at the same time, there are let's say, some other departments or agencies that need more education on what we're doing. And so besides GDPR, that is a very old regulation, we have the Data Act that, for example, is the first one that defines what a smart contract is for non-private data, and then it requires a specific design of a smart contract that says that it should not be immutable. It should be mutable and accessible to specific entities. So there's like so much regulation on data, also regulation on cybersecurity. So this idea that we have in the space that if you don't work with security tokens, you're not regulated. If you don't have a token, you're not regulated. Here we're talking about encryption, we're talking about data, we're talking about AI. There's an AI regulation. There's been a prevention of sexual abuse proposal also as a framework where would actually ask the scanning of messaging from different mobile messaging apps and maybe the end of encryption. But that, again, just a proposal that is reintroduced almost every year. It's not happening, but when it comes to privacy, when it comes to data, it's a whole, I think we would need a day for that, but thank you.
But very quickly, maybe we can say from your point of view, because you do very different types of jobs, but it all surrounds in one. Why do you think that the European Commission is the best agency to facilitate blockchain in private and secure way?
Yes, we are not an agency, but okay. You mean how the Commission? Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Why do you think that? Why European Commission, first of all, needs to have a blockchain, but then do you think you have the agency to facilitate that in private and secure way?
Okay, so let's say that our main role is to promote blockchain, to facilitate for example, the implementation of the European regulation, and we saw that providing a permissioned network managed by the member state is the best way to promote this technology and to promote trust for the European institutions.
Blockchain has a tamper-proof evidence system, right? So in a federation, sort of federation state where we have different member states, if we have a digital system which enable us to offer a tamper-proof evidence of what's happening somewhere else without relying on, let's say, discretional trust. This is powerful.
Marina, do you want to quickly say?
I think that I can just say that the European Commission has been very much interested in blockchain since the beginning, and that's a luck that we have here in the community, from the Digit, the Digifisma, etc. And they've been also very, very open to the dialogue. We have other agencies or other institutions that maybe we need to talk more to, but that's also why we have all these frameworks already, building blockchain, but also regulating in a sensible way.
So, in other words, please talk to the lawyers and to the commissioners. They are also super happy to explain it to you. What are they working on? Ask the right questions. Maybe you have the concerns, whatever you're working on, and how they can help. Because they can talk in non-patronizing way and they can take time. And I know I've spoken to all of them individually. A lot of the work that they're doing, it is meaningful. So take a moment, chat with them, find a round, and please fund privacy, security, and especially what independent researchers and lawyers like Marina are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.